And eventually, maybe in a month, we go back and we can kind of look at some of the things we can't talk about yet.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Hey Ryan.
Hello.
So last night we spent 2 hours and 25 minutes in the theater. Not in IMAX because you can't see an IMAX film unless it's the Odyssey.
Correct.
Spider-Man, brand new day. No spoilers. We're going to try to be spoiler free here if it's at all possible. Because we are not complete D-bags like some people on the internet. So I posted my written review today. It is spoiler free if you want to read that first and then come back to this. That's up on vsmoviepodcast.com. So let's talk about this. This is the fourth standalone Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland.
Yes.
He has now set the record. Will there be a fifth standalone? There will be another appearance, but will there be a fifth standalone with him?
But you want my gut feeling?
Yeah, what's your gut?
Yes.
Ooh, good. That's an excellent gut.
Yeah.
We'll see if it happens because I know he said he would do it as long as they.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to guess what the numbers for this are going to look like, but I think they'll be healthy enough that
a Spider-Man movie doing well at the theaters.
Yeah, well, we'll see, but
that's crazy. Okay, well, let's talk about this one. So when last we left him,
yes,
Doctor Strange had just made it to where it was if Peter Parker never existed.
Correct. No one knew him.
No one knew him. Well, he actually said it will be like you never existed.
Yes.
So we're back, and of course, the synopsis for this: a forgotten Peter Parker lives alone as full-time Spider-Man until mounting pressure triggers a dangerous change and a powerful new enemy emergence. If you've watched the trailers, seen the trailers, been forced into accidentally watching the trailers, you know what the changes are or might be for him, but we won't spoil it just in case. You know sort of who the new villain, powerful new enemy is, but you might be wrong because there might be a different villain enemy.
Sure.
In this one. And yeah, so Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, Mark Ruffalo, Sadie Sink in our mystery role, John Bernthal, no spoiler. This is not a spoiler.
No.
He's the Punisher. So deal with that. Marissa Tomei shows up in flashbacks because you got to have Aunt May. Yeah. So this one is we traded comments briefly after the screening, which we don't normally do.
Yeah. Well, and I don't. And post screening comments sometimes are a little misleading as well.
That's true. So, not directed by Mark Webb.
No, which
Destin Daniel Cretton directed Shang-Chi, Just Mercy, which is a great movie with Michael B. Jordan, by the way. If you haven't seen it, Glass Castle, which is also good. Wonder Man, he was a producer on. I don't know that he directed those. He might have. He did direct at least some of Wonder Man. So yeah, he's not a noob by any stretch of the imagination. But Spider-Man, let's be fair, it's like being picked to direct the Batman movie. There's a lot of expectation.
Sure, yeah.
Comes with this character. So there's that. General, where do you fall? Good to bad?
I'm positive.
Generally positive. I am too.
Yeah, generally positive. I mean, yeah. Well, there are issues I have with it, and most of my issues come with it's not the story itself, but it's the elements of the script. There are some scenes that feel like they sat down and said, "Okay, what do we want this scene to say?" And they wrote that down, and then they said, "Well, then why don't we just say all that?" And the writer in me says, well, how about you use less words and more realistic conversation?
Right.
So I
believe the word we used when we were talking, because we both agreed that the script was clunky.
Yes.
Story, okay.
It's fine.
Script,
I mean, when we say clunky, we don't mean clunky like some of the recent films that we've gotten. In fact, as far at least the story goes, the story at least feels fairly cohesive. Does it feel 100% cohesive? It's a little jumpy here and there, but when you compare it to, say, I don't know, the recent Captain America film,
yeah,
there's a decidedly improved. I mean, it's improved
yeah,
to a great extent.
yeah. So, and the way I think about it is that the script is cohesive. I just think the script is looking at the wrong things. Because for a Spider-Man movie, and I said this in my written review. I said this feels more like a traditional Disney Marvel movie than it does a Sony Spider-Man movie with Marvel help.
Sure,
Which were the first three.
The team up aspect of it, is that what you mean?
No, I mean the focus on not on Spider-Man, but on beyond Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like I said, again, I don't want to say too much. I loved his interactions with the Punisher. I loved his interactions with that other character.
Yes,
that's not the one that I'm trying to avoid. I thought because anytime she shows up in a movie, I'm happy. So
fair. Okay.
She just makes me smile. So that stuff didn't bother me, but it felt like the film was trying to focus more outside of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that's fair observation. Even though the whole film is about it's not as centered on him as the previous three have been. I think that's fair. But your note on the Punisher, I think the Punisher is a great character when he's teamed with the right person.
Yeah.
And this is one of those right people or right characters. He needs someone who is morally grounded.
Yeah, I mean, because he is so the Punisher.
Yeah.
You need a balance, but you can't go all the way to like Steve Rogers.
Well,
because that won't work.
Well, I think it can work, but it doesn't work as well.
But it becomes much more comedic.
Yeah, no, well, exactly. Which is why if you're going to give me Steve Rogers and pair him with someone who's questionable morality, it would be Deadpool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and ironically, I was also going to say I think Deadpool would be another great team up for Punisher.
And that may be it would be a different, but yes, you need something. I think Deadpool and Punisher would be Deadpool being devil's advocate.
Yeah, right.
Which,
not Frank. Not Frank. Don't do this.
No,
Frank, it would be, have you considered?
Yeah, which could be entertaining. But yeah, for me, Punisher on his own is never as interesting as for me as Punisher when teamed up with other characters, and this team up is one that I think works rather well.
Yeah, absolutely does.
And team up is probably not the best word. They're not always. I mean, there's friction there.
They're moving in the same direction.
Yes, but there is definitely friction and different ideologies and and in a lot of ways, this film is about how do you deal with loss. You have various characters. In fact, the majority of the main characters in this film that is what they are grappling with. What motivates them? What is the motivation for at least three of the major characters in this film? It's loss.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And in terms of Punisher and Peter Parker, they both lost. They both internalize their grief, and it manifests in the same way, and that is to do the job that they've allotted themselves.
Yeah,
they approach those jobs from completely different angles. But I would argue, and I did not put this in my written review because I didn't have time to sit down and actually kind of try to craft the words that I wanted to use. In terms of those two, I know a lot of people love to use the words toxic masculinity.
Sure.
To attack a male character. by his external behaviors, which, whether you consider that valid, invalid, stretch too far, whatever that, but that's I would argue that in this case, Frank and Peter both, by internalizing their external manifestations, are because they're holding back. They won't allow themselves to move beyond, to explain how they feel, to actually grieve, to do that, because, well, Frank, that rage fuels him, that grief fuels him, and he uses it. But you see a couple times he has those feelings, but it's kind of an indictment on men not being allowed to hurt or be weak. So if you want to look at toxic masculinity as simply an external phenomenon, I would argue that these two characters in this particular story, this is the result of internalizing those masculine behaviors, which is loyalty, protection, all of that stuff that somehow is bad when it's externalized, then it kind of eats them up.
Yeah,
because they can't move beyond them, or they can't really express them.
Yeah, for me, toxic masculinity is different in the sense that there's a kind of a sense of pride in that, in those things that make them toxic, whereas these characters, I don't think that they know they're broken. They don't know how to fix themselves. So anything that comes across as a toxic masculinity sort of thing in these two characters, which there probably are some, some things that, and at times even in Peter Parker, which may surprise some people in this, but it's neither of them, I think, find their behavior completely acceptable. Whereas I think someone who's a toxic, who's toxic, wouldn't see any issue with what they're doing.
Right. They can't express weakness.
Yeah.
Because Peter a couple times would like to.
Yeah.
And he cannot.
Well,
he doesn't know what will happen.
And he doesn't know who to do it for and with. And, and I think.
And Frank has no one to.
Exactly. So Frank is defined by the fact that he is in a different situation. Frank literally does have nobody.
Yeah.
Whereas Peter has lost everyone. And where he probably could, he's a nice enough guy that he could replace those individuals. He's so focused on, he's so focused on those individuals that he can't, and they're part of the issue and whatnot. And it's also interesting, this film takes place over a much longer stretch.
Oh yeah.
Than
4 years.
Yeah, at least, if not 5. Yeah.
That's true. I don't know how long it takes to get through MIT.
Yeah, well, I think it probably depends on what classes and et cetera, et cetera. But it's at least 4 to 5 years, and that's radically different. And it's not like we're suddenly like year 1 and then 5 years later. You kind of see the process and the time as it goes to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And Peter does have one confidant that he finds, but it's kind of an unusual relationship there as well.
It's an anonymous.
So, which is pretty typical for a Spider-Man character. They seem to kind of end up in these anonymous relationships all the time. But it's I think so. Yes, as far as the story goes, I like the story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there were any huge surprises for me. There were a couple scenes I thought, okay, I didn't see that coming necessarily. It's not without intelligence, but I just think that 1 or 2 more passes would have helped that script.
Yeah, I mean, part of me when I was watching this, I felt like some of the issues that Peter's dealing with, the way they deal with them in this film, I was reminded because I caught the last like 40 minutes of No Way Home the night before we saw this. It was on TV, so I watched the end of it, and I was reminded, I didn't catch it at the time, But I was reminded of the conversation the three Peters had where they talked about MJ and losing MJ.
Yeah.
And, of course, Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man lost Gwen Stacy. I lost my MJ.
Mm.
That person for him. And he was like, he goes, and I got callous and blah, blah, blah. And I got cold. He goes, and eventually I realized I stopped pulling my punches. And I was like, that's the Peter Parker that needed to deal with his trauma.
Yeah.
We needed to see him not be this. I mean, kind of, he could still wisecrack, but we needed that darker. And he showed up in a couple spots, but only as part of these changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it would have been better if.
Well, but I think there is a good question of what is, because the question is what drives change and what, not to steer this too seriously, but a lot of mental health issues can trace their origins back to a particular event, where that event, for whatever reason, changed the chemical makeup of an individual, or whatnot, or
Right.
loosened the particular screws that led to whatever followed. So I think while there is some physical change that is happening, I think sometimes the trauma and those bodily changes go hand in hand and impact each other.
Yeah. And then you have to figure out how you have to recenter. It's like, emotionally, I guess it's like when that kid turns 13 and he grows 6 inches over the summer and then he looks like he doesn't know how to walk.
Yeah, because his
body doesn't know what it's doing.
Because it doesn't really.
It doesn't know how to work. What are these extra 6 inches? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
But emotionally, that's but he's got, years of this stuff that he won't unpack. He won't to anyone, which is what's crazy. And he could. Like, again, we go back to Frank. Frank doesn't. Frank doesn't. But Peter has, he's such a charming individual that he's got at least one neighbor girl, or he's got, there's right
there, he's got opportunities, right there in front of him, but he refuses to accept anything other than what he already had.
Right.
Which is unhealthy.
Which is unhealthy. He kind of knows that, but
I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do the same thing, but I think at some point you have to acknowledge that what he's doing is not healthy,
no.
and does set himself up for other things that probably aren't best for him either.
Correct. So we're not going to talk about the new enemy because that's a spoiler.
But I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the new enemy. I'm fine with a lot of what happened there.
I am too. Like I said, except I wish there had been, that felt like the Marvelization of this franchise. And I understand that Spider-Man is a Marvel character. What I mean. Well,
yes, it's more incorporated in. It's not as standalone. At this point.
And that is a weakness of the Disney Marvel universe. That is a weakness. It's dependence on that.
It depends on each. But there are elements where this film does also, and the other films have also,
Well, there's a difference between brushing by, but this feels more like they're imposing things moving forward.
I agree.
So, like I said, the holdover in Homecoming with Tony Stark, totally get. After the blip, totally get. That makes sense. In this one, it just feels like they're not shoehorning it, but it just
but it's definitely
better.
It's definitely part of something bigger.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lot of pressure on Marvel right now.
You think?
I think. And I think that is why that happens in the way that it does in this film. Whereas, Mysterio or whatnot didn't really have a place in the upcoming Marvel universe and never was intended to. This one clearly ties in very, very much so into. But, when you think of the situation that they're in, they kind of needed that. The irony here being they needed Spider-Man as much as maybe the early Spider-Man film needed Tony Stark. Right. So I think Marvel at this point, the relationship has evolved to that point where which is maybe what you would have wanted all along. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not best for the Spider-Man franchise, but it is best for the Marvel franchise at this point.
As long as it's not wasted.
Hopefully, yeah. But
That's
I mean, it was kind of strange because I kind of predicted elements of what was going to happen, and quite frankly, I was told that no. And I said, okay, well then I'm watching the film, and I'm like, well then what else in the world could this possibly be, other than what I thought it was?
yeah.
Because for me, that was the only thing that was really making much sense.
Yeah.
But
Lots of theories out there.
there are,
Only
and
right.
but you know what? I think that's kind of healthy. I will say that there will be people who don't like how closely this follows some comic book elements. There will probably be
And
people
I
who say,
researched and it kind of deviates
well, and I was going to
from
say, but
those same elements.
there are a couple things that then there will be people who say it deviates too much. Oh, I mean, you're going to have it both ways. But for me, it's kind of in that happy space where it retains, particularly as it kind of goes off into the ending, it retains, I think, the core essence of something.
Yeah.
But we'll just see. We'll see what happens. Because that's all we can do at this point.
We will see in December how Marvel is moving forward. Not necessarily from this, but in their overall plans. Because we do get Doomsday, and then we do get Secret Wars.
Yes.
So we'll have to see how that goes. Overall, yeah, like I said, overall, I liked it. I liked Brand New Day. It's not perfect. It is going to make a ton of money.
I kind of hope so. I mean,
even without IMAX, premiums.
Well, I mean, a lot of places are now doing the premium screens that, while not IMAX, are at least large.
Yeah.
Large format.
Yeah. And we didn't even talk about the way this movie looks. We talk, Mark Webb's not in it. This is not like the Technicolor Spider-Man. This is a very muted.
Yeah, it is. It's
movie.
This film is different.
Yeah.
Some
it's
ways
not
I don't.
Logan different.
No. But in some ways I didn't mind. I do think there's a noticeable shift.
Yeah, the word going around is mature. The more mature Spider-Man.
I don't.
Peter Parker.
I guess.
No, I agree. Again, part of it is he can't move on from what he is or what he was, but he is, because he's living and working.
Well, he has to.
So yeah, so it's just it's inevitable. So it's this weird mix. But just like even the color palette. I hate people that talk about the color palette. But there's not a lot of bright colors here. No,
it's not saturated. It's desaturated. It's more in line with what you would expect from a Punisher film than you would necessarily at this point expect from a Spider-Man film.
Right. But there's the red and blue of his suit. There's the red from the Techno Ninjas or whatever.
Yeah, the hood.
There's not a lot of color here. It's more real life almost.
Yeah.
It's kind of dirty, gritty New York. But yeah, it's not this big bright. Even the daytime scenes aren't like super bright.
There are some fun shots when he's swinging through
some of the first person stuff. I thought Hardcore Henry.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but
not as gimmicky as Hardcore Henry.
No, but there is some interesting camera work. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, it definitely does have a different look than the other three movies. So I wonder if the cinematographer was different. I'm sure it was, if they got a different director. So I'm sure the cinematographer is different, but it is. So it's watch it. I can't tell you not to watch it. It's not bad.
The bottom line, I think, is it's a film that you can recommend.
Right.
But unlike the other films, it does feel a bit unfinished, because it is so tied into something else.
Yeah.
So it doesn't offer the same sort of resolution that some of the other films have.
And I would like to say this, because I have to say this, because this movie will likely quickly catch the Odyssey's box office numbers.
Yeah.
Actively, not like, in week 3 it made it. No, I mean it. I see it passing the Odyssey in this race, right, as we go along. That
I don't know.
said,
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that said, as well as this is going to do, whether that actually happens or not, but it's going to do really well. That stupid part of the internet is going to use that success to further go after the Odyssey, despite the fact that if the Odyssey had never come out, they would have almost certainly been tearing this film apart. But because it suits their click for money profiles,
yeah,
they're going to use this instead. And I say that because they're already doing it by using Troy to defend or to attack the Odyssey. And
which is ridiculous.
Troy,
but it's ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. But again, I quite enjoyed Troy.
You can't, and there's no reason why you can't.
Right. But
they're completely different. Yeah.
That right there should tell you all you need to know about the disingenuousness.
There's a new one too.
What is it?
The new thing is everyone is praising the Hallmark version.
Oh my God.
Which should tell you everything you need to know about where that conversation has gone.
See, and I even enjoyed the Armand Assante series, The Odyssey, with Annabella Sciorra as Penelope. It has its appeal to use either of those films. And to use the Hallmark, really?
Anyway, so
wow.
But it's whatever,
right
at this point.
So when you're watching all of these people, all of these talking heads talk about that, remember that if the Odyssey hadn't come out, they would be tearing Spider-Man down.
Well, and here's
the thing.
Here's the thing, this is maybe all that needs to be said about Odyssey is everyone that I know that I trust and think has a reasonable mind has one or two issues with the Odyssey. But at the same time, that's usually followed up with, but if you want to go see it again, I'll go with you.
Sure.
I had a couple issues with it. You had a couple issues with it.
And I thought we were very fair and respectful when we talked about it.
And yet...
I would see it again.
But I would... Exactly. And there's that part of me that's like, well, yeah, I mean... Sometimes even knowing a film's faults makes that second viewing all that much better because you know what you're going to disagree with. I love the horror elements of it. There's a lot that I really do like, but yeah, if it means Spider-Man doesn't get ripped apart, well, great. There's one benefit. I don't know. I think that the Odyssey and I think Christopher Nolan's films in general have transcended and turned into event things in the same way that a James Cameron film has.
But I generally find Nolan's films more enjoyable, despite the fact that recently I haven't really cared for a lot of his stuff. Oppenheimer I liked.
Yeah.
Interstellar I'm not a huge fan of.
I actually love Interstellar.
But you go back, I'm The Prestige. I love The Prestige.
Yeah.
I love his work, and in some of his movies, I don't care for.
Which is fine. Which is fine.
Except for Dunkirk, which I hate.
Yeah, you do not like
I hate Dunkirk, to be fair.
But I think I think Spider-Man and well, you know what? If Spider-Man outperforms the Odyssey in the end, Hollywood's thrilled.
Yeah, it is, because that's ridiculous.
If both of them end up doing around $1 billion, Hollywood is equally thrilled.
Oh yeah.
I think we're in a really hopefully comfortable place for theaters again, where we can say, okay, you just need to make movies that people are really interested in, that they want to see, and then they'll come.
Yep.
And then that puts the onus back on Hollywood to actually make those films.
Yep.
Or to at least know how to budget films better and how to do things better. And, so I think I wish all the luck to Spider-Man.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope that it does well. I hope the Odyssey continues to do well. Because those are films that I like.
Yep.
And you want film, I'd rather see those films do well than, certain films that I'm really not all that interested in. So
there you go. So Spider-Man Brand New Day in theaters this Friday, July 31st.
Yeah.
Third one, yeah. So check it out, especially if you're a fan, and then let us know where you fall.
You know,
on
and
this.
and eventually, maybe in a month, we go back and we can kind of look at some of the things we can't talk about yet.
Right there you go. Well, and then we'll be able to talk about those and see what other revelations we have going on. So, yep, that's what I'm thinking. So there you go. Spider-Man, brand new day in theaters this Friday. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe. That would be great as well. We've got a couple more movies coming out over the next couple weeks, which we will talk about. We've got some stuff on Apple, which is coming out, which hopefully we will both catch up on and be able to talk about up to and including season 4 of Ted Lasso. So hopefully we'll be talking about that. But until we do, be good, stay safe, go see a good movie in theaters. They're there.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. So there you go. Till we talk again. I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you, folks.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.